Alright everyone, we're looking at a front wheel bearing out of a 2003 PT Cruiser, and some friends of mine took it apart and brought it to me. They didn't have any means of putting their new wheel bearing on it. Check this out. Really loose and making lots of noise, so I'm going to show you how to press this out. In order to do this, you've got to have a press, and these days you can probably get by maybe with a wheel bearing puller kit, but 9 times out of 10 it's just a lot easier to have something like this. And of course, this is my 20-ton shop press that I picked up from Harbor Freight probably 5-6 years ago, and let me tell you what folks, it's paid for itself probably 15 or 20 times. I paid less than $200 for this thing. If you work on autos and maybe I do a little work on the side, these are a great investment. So you can check out my review on YouTube. I do have a review on this. So basically, in a nutshell, what we got to do here, we've got to get this centerpiece here pushed out. This here is actually the hub. We've got to pull this out this way. Then once we get this out, then we can flip it over. Then we can actually push this wheel bearing out. Now here is a look at the wheel bearing real quick, and you can see it is a press seal type. You don't have to grease it up or anything. And I think you can get these anywhere from $20 to $80 depending on where you shop around. So if you have one of these making some noise, and hopefully maybe save yourself a lot of money. So let's get to it. Alright guys, welcome to my world. This is how I had to set it up. Unbelievable, these engineers. You know, they don't give you any wiggle room whatsoever. They don't care about replacing parts. Everything's thrown away today. So anyway, here's what I had to do. I just took a couple pieces of wood. Now, I wanted to set this on here, but the problem is you can see right there, that is not wide enough for that hub to go down in there. So I had to lift this up high enough to be able to push that out of there. So I got a socket there. I got a block of wood there. Got some wood there holding that up, and I ran a extension through there to kind of balance that. And hopefully we're just going to push that out of there, because I've seen some guys use nut busters and bearing pullers to pull these off, but they have a wider piece on the bottom here that will let a wheel hub fall down in there. So yeah, this is what we're going to try to attempt here. So let's see what we can do. Alright, so I'm going to have to hold the camera with one hand, and hopefully you kind of watch me do this, because it's getting dark and my lighting's not the best. I probably should have started this a little earlier, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and just kind of pump this and see if we can get this to break loose. Well, I said, we'll see. Alright, yeah, there it went. Alright, so wow, it came all the way through. Well, that's great. So that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's see. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and push the rest of the way out. So it did go. And I think if I hold the light here, you can see it did come out. I mean, look at, just one more time. Look at this. This is just what you got to do sometimes. Unbelievable. If there's a will, there's a way, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and get this out of here. Alright, so there it went. That was my biggest worry, trying to get that out of there. So let me grab this here real quick. Alright, so let me grab everything. I'm kind of embarrassed to be even doing this video this late in the day. Typically I don't do stuff this late, but this is kind of an emergency fix, and I don't like to work too late because I don't have enough light out here sometimes. But anyway, see, that's just a socket extension there, and oh well. Anyway, you get the idea. So we got that out. The whole idea is to take a socket and push on the center of this out like that. Alright, so that's out. There's the socket, and I believe the socket size is a 1 1/16 in case anybody wants to know. And take this out. Like I said, this was just in there to kind of balance it. And there's what we got to push out. So what we got to do, we got to take this little stupid dust cover off, like it really matters, like it does anything. So let's get that off. Alright, let's go ahead and get these out real quick. Now remember which way this here goes, because this is for your sensor. That would be a bad day. We'll put a little paint there. Well, that's either the wrong size or someone's been messing with that. Alright, before we have a bad night, there we know where that goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this out of here. Just 13, 14, and a 14. Yeah, it looks like someone's rounded it off. Actually, that's entirely different bolts, so someone's worked on this before. So, yep. So anyway, that stupid thing out of the way, and now we'll go ahead and press this out. This is not too bad to do. Alright, first we're going to go ahead and clean off some dirt. Because sometimes these vehicles have clips, but this one, of course, does not have any clips or anything. We just got to push this out the opposite way. Get all this dirt out just so we can see. Yep, alright, so you can see how bad this bearing is. It's all pitted there. It's completely shot. They said it was making lots of noise. Actually get something and push down on the center of it. This is an older bearing that I've had. And actually what you want to do is push on the center of this bearing. There is a race there, and there's some bearings behind it. When you push down on that, it pushes on those bearings all the way around. Then it will push on the outside of this bearing housing. So let's see if this will work here. And this is just a socket. There we go. Alright, so that worked. Alright, so things you gotta do. Hey, if you're watching this video right now, of course you gotta be watching it, but let me know where you're watching from. Say hello. Alright, it's just about out. Oh, it's out. Alright, there you are. See, if you push on the inside of this here, there's bearings behind here, and this race here on the inside is actually beveled. So these bearings can't actually come out when you're pushing on the inside of this here. And it makes it a little bit easier to get it off. And if I find my old one here, you can see this is about the same diameter as this right here. This works out pretty good like that. So don't even attempt to try to push the outside of this, because what I realized, and you won't find this anywhere else on any other channel doing this, there's a fine line right there. You see that little beveled lip right here? Well, part of that outer bearing goes up in there, housing, and you can't really grab it. So it makes it a little harder to actually to get something up here to push on the outside of that. On the outside of this right here, on the outside right there. But you can push on the inside here, and it pushes the whole thing out. Alright, so we got that out. There it is. And there's the lip on the inside. So all we gotta do now is clean this up and get ready to put it back together. But, oh, don't get too excited just yet. We gotta take this guy here off. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. Okay, now as you can see here, we've got to get this off. Somehow we've got to get behind here and pull this off this way. Now there's a couple of ways we can do this. The first thing I'm going to do is get a chisel and just kind of see if I can get behind here and tap and see if this will start to come off. Now if it doesn't come off, it doesn't budge, you can try to use a bearing, a buster, grab behind here and try to force this out, but I find a lot of times they don't do a very good job of getting behind here because there's just not enough metal in this out right here. This is like a thin piece of tin, or just a part of the bearing housing here that's not very strong, so we could try to get something in behind there. But I think what I'm going to do first is go ahead and get a chisel, see if we can knock some of this out of there. Alright, now before some of you ask, why did you get the bearing puller out and try to do it? Well, this is what I've got right here. And you can see you can almost do it. They show a picture of here of pulling a bearing off. That's okay if you can get behind it. But mine here it's really tough to get something behind here, and it doesn't even fit in there. Now all you're going to be doing is pulling on this seal that's behind here, and that's not going to go pull that off. So this is why we're going to resort to maybe a chisel. Try and get behind here. If not, then what we got to do, bring out the old cutting tool and just kind of slice in here the best we can. Take a chisel, spread it, and just knock it off that way. So this is how I've had to do a lot of bearing, just so you know. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get this off. Alright, so let's try this here. Set this up here like this. I got my chisel pretty sharp, but boy, I tell you, there's just not a lot of room in here. But we'll do what we can. Looks like we may have to cut it. So sometimes I find there is a gap in there, but this one here is pretty flush in there. So yeah, we'll see what we can do here. Sometimes I've been proven wrong, but hey, looks like it's trying to come off. So, alright, so let's see if we can get this off this way. We may not have to cut it off. Well, it's coming off, so now maybe we can get it off a little far enough to get something behind here. Alright, so we got it off there about a quarter of an inch, so we'll just keep at it here. I gotta tell you, this is probably one of the easier ones I've got to take off. So we're just going to keep hitting it sideways. Try to knock this off like this. Take our time at it. Now at this point, you can get a 3-jaw claw puller behind here, which I have over there. If you're in a hurry, if you want to just go ahead and pop this off. But since we got it off this far, I'm just going to keep hitting this. See if I can get it the rest of the way off for you guys. Because, you know, today wouldn't be complete if I didn't pinch, cut, or smash my fingers. Still going. Well, I actually accidentally knocked it back on there a little farther, so just way back on here. Alright, it's just about off there. I see what's going on. It's got a, see right there? It's got a little bit of a lip where this bearing is spun, and it's cut a groove, and it won't come off any farther. So I'm going to take my grinder and just kind of smooth that down and slide that on off. So that's actually a little loose, but we'll see if the other bearing fits on there pretty tight. Hopefully it will. Alright. Yes, and before some of you ask, I do have hearing protection and some glasses. Alright, let's see if we can get this rest of the way off. We may have to clean it a little bit more, try to get that off. Alright, there we go. So, it's questionable if this is going to be usable, but we don't have any other parts. But I'm going to tell them about this. But let's see the new bearing. Let's see. Oh yeah, it goes on there pretty tight. I think it'll be okay to use. So not perfect, but in fairness, the inside of this got wore down too. So between this and this, it's probably worn just a little bit. But sometimes you can just buy the whole assembly cheaper than tearing this apart and doing it yourself. It really depends on your situation. If it's an emergency situation, you can wait a few days. But if you do that, this thing's about $200. So anyway, so we got that off. Alright, so we'll clean this up a little bit more and we'll go ahead and start putting this back together. Alright, so one final check before we go ahead and press this in. Here's our old wheel bearing. There's the new one. Make sure they're the same width and diameter, and we look good. Now we're ready to go ahead and press this in. So she's about ready to go in, so kind of make sure it's going straight. And I got some oil on the inside. It may not look straight to you because this camera's sitting at an angle, but tap on the outside. And it will go into a point straight. Alright, we're going in straight. And now we'll go ahead and push it in. I could probably still use this socket because you got to remember part of this, it's not going to go all the way because it's going to stop so far out. If you remember the old one, the old bearing, the housing on the outside, actually some of it stuck out just a little bit. So now we'll go ahead and put this down. Alright, so we're right there, and we're going to start pushing it in, and you see how easy it's going in. The key is to make sure it's starting straight, and you feel a little grease around it. So I'm actually just pumping this jack with my fingers. And remember, make sure the socket is on the outside, not the inside of this lip. You can damage that bearing. And I think, are we in all the way? Let's see. Just want to center that socket up. Just now we got to use our handle. There we go. All right, she's in as far as it'll go. In like Flynn. Some of you may know what that means. Most of the time, it seems like it was spent trying to figure out how to level this to get it on and off, putting shims under it. If you don't have a press, if you do one of these with a bearing puller, those kits that you can get, hey, let me know in the comment section if it works for you. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, check it out. Perfect, no binding. It's nice and smooth. On the other side, you can see it's been seated all the way up against this bevel. I'm really surprised this doesn't have a clip ring on the inside, because some of these actually have a clip, but the reason you don't have a clip ring is because this bearing is so wide it sticks out. So they could have designed this thicker and put a ring here, but hey, what do I know? Alright, let's move on to the next step. Alright, so the next thing we got to do, and you probably thought I would have forgot about this. Nope. We got to put this back on. You can see our paint mark. Go ahead and get all this back on. And now we'll tighten this back up. The one here thinks that this one's a 13. Alright. And this is just my Porter cable tool. Alright, so anyway, I think that socket's even too big. Actually all these are 13s. So, well anyway, a lot of rust on there and they do get smaller. Alright, so that's on, and now all we gotta do is go ahead and press this in like this, and we'll be done, my friends. So, everything looks pretty good. So, we'll clean this up here just a little bit. We'll set this up on the press and finish up. Alright, so here's the setup. Basically, I got my hub here turned upside down, and the whole idea is we want to press the knuckle here down onto this, and the way you do that is you see the inside here, not the outside. You want to get something that will fit on the inside. This is an old bearing I've had in the junk box. I keep everything, you never know. Put that on the inside, and what that does, that will push the centerpiece here down on to that spindle there, like that, down in there. So it's already started. I've tapped it on there to save us some time, and now all we gotta do is go ahead and press it on. Alright, so we got our socket there, and we'll go ahead and slowly start this. I hope this helps you guys out. I know if you don't have half the tools that I have, at least this will give you some insight on what it takes to do this job. There's a couple of ways you can do it, but this is the way I find that it's pretty easy to do for guys like me who don't have $1 million machine shop or a garage, like a lot of these professional YouTubers do. This is for the common man. Shut up, Nathan. Work. Alright, alright, it's going. And like I said, this one here is questionable. Oh, I'm gonna grab my socket. I would probably replace all of this, but they don't care. They said they just want to get the vehicle running. So again, finish this up here real quick. Get that sockets straight. All right, there we go. So, all right, here she goes. All right, there it is. It's on, and we're done, my friend. Yay! Alright, so let's take this apart real quick. Alright, grab this. Grab my socket this time before she flies. And let's pull it out here. Oh, she's heavy now. Let's see what we got. Spin it around with my hand. Oh, it feels good. No play. I think that'll be okay. Yep, it feels good. Spin it this way. You know what, I'm going to have to set the camera down for you guys. It is on a tripod. Alright. Feel it real good? Oh, it feels good. Oh, this should be alright. Alright, so there we go, guys. That's how you can replace a front wheel bearing on a 2003 PT Cruiser. So we'll take this back to the folks, and I'll let them put this back on the car, and hopefully this will make their day. Alright guys, so here is the PT Cruiser. This is what it looks like when they take it off. And just one other quick note, when you go to put this back on, make sure that this big nut right here is nice and tight, because this nut actually keeps this together and keeps it from separating. This is why they don't have a clip in there. It's dependent on this nut here, just so you know. So it's pretty simple to take apart. There are other videos online, the tutorials how to do it. You got the tie rod in, you got 2 bolts up on the top here, and you just gotta drop the lower ball joint. Pretty easy to do. And of course you got your brakes and the big nut. And I'm not sure what size is this, but I'll put that in the link in the description above. But anyway, their new hub is here. I'll let them have fun doing this. And I'm gonna go get a nice cold drink and say goodbye to all YouTubers for watching my channel and all that. And until my next video, guys, I'll see you later.